This is the array list problem from the 2024 exam. It's called word checker. So what we're given is an array list of strings called word list. And we're going to do in part A, we're going to do is word chain. So let's look at what the example. So is word chain method determines whether or not each element of a word list, except for the first, is contained in a previous element as a substring. So for example, the first one is a word list that we want to keep because AN is inside band, band is inside abandon. The other one's not because, and band is completely contained within band, so it's okay. 2 is contained within 2, which is contained inside stool, but that is not contained inside tools. So is word chain, what happens here is we're seeing if every word is contained in the next word. So for example, AN is in band, and band is obviously in band, and band is in abandon, so that is a word chain. 2 is in 2, which is in stool, but it's not in tools. They have the same letters, but they're not exactly contained in. So we're going to write public Boolean is word chain. Okay, so let's think about what we need to do. We're asking, yes. Okay, so what are we looking for in here? We're looking for if we call something like create list cat, and if it's in the first position of the word, then you're going to add that word to the array list without the word. So for example, the first one was catch. Cat is the first 3 letters, so you're only going to put CH into the array list. You're not going to do anything with bobcat because cat is not first in position 0. The next one, cat is in the first position, so you're going to return the cat. Cat is completely contained within cat. There's nothing left, so you're going to return an empty string. And then lastly, cat is not at the very beginning of at, so that does not get added to the word list. We can do the same thing, and they gave us some more other examples to look at. So we're going to have to traverse it. We're going to have to have an array list that we're going to have to create. We're going to traverse the original array word.list and see if the index of the passed in word is equal to 0. If so, we're going to start the substring after the length of that word. All right, so they gave us the method header for part A. It's public Boolean is word chain. Now remember, the method header gives you a lot of information. We know that it is not a static method, so objects are going to be calling it, and it's got a return type of Boolean, and it takes no parameters. So here is my pretend word chain, and this is a word chain. So if I call this one I, and this one I plus 1, what I really want to know is if this one is contained in that one. So we'd say the word list at I plus 1 dot index of I. And if it doesn't contain it, we know it's going to be equal -1. If it does contain it, it's going to give you a positive value, 0 or greater. All right, so we got to traverse it. So 4, int I equal to 0. Now, since I'm starting at I, and notice I'm looking at the next one as I plus 1, I need to make sure that my size, when I traverse, goes 1 less spot. So I need I to be less than word list dot size minus 1. And then I plus plus. My other choice, if I want to do I minus 1 and then I, we would start this one at 1 and then just go less than word list dot size. So it just depends on how you define it, exactly how you're going to traverse it. But since you're going to be looking at 2 items, you need to make sure that you either start 1 ahead or end 1 early. So I'm going to put my 2 strings that I have. My first string is going to be my current position, which is going to be word list dot get I plus 1. And my previous one is going to be wordlist.getI. Now, I did not need to write these and define them separately. I just thought it would make the rest of the code look a little bit better. So what I want to know now is if my current dot index of the previous, if that's equal to -1, then we know for a fact that it wasn't contained in there and it is not a word chain. So if current dot index of previous, if that's identically equal to -1, we know it's not a word chain and we're going to return false. If we make it through the entire loop without returning false, then it is a word chain and we're going to return true. Part A was only worth 3 points. The first point comes from traversing the array list with no error bounds. So this one's going to be a little bit harder to get than normal because we were comparing two different items. The next one is that you actually are comparing two different items. And last one is that you're returning a Boolean. All right, let's look at part B. Okay, so part B. All right, so they gave us the method header. It's public array list. Remember, that's your type, your return type. So array list of strings. And then we're going to create a list. And we're passing in our target word. So for example, our target word was cat. And if it was catch, we would return the CH. If it was cat, we return a blank string, an empty string, a null reference. And if it's something like dog, you're not going to return anything or add anything to that list. So the first thing I need to do is create an array list to add those. So we're going to create an array list of type strings. And it's going to be a result of these two things. We're going to have to traverse our word list. We can use an enhanced for loop on this one. We couldn't on the previous one because we were comparing two terms, so we really did need to have the index. Remember, with an enhanced for loop or for each loop, you must start at the very beginning and traverse exactly in order all the way to the end. You lose the position at any given time, you just know to go to the next piece. So for string current in my word list, and we're going to ask ourselves if it's at the very beginning. So we're going to say if. So we're going to look if our current word has an index of the target. So our current word dot index of the target that we passed in then we know that it's contained at the very beginning. So that means we're going to create the new string that's going to be a substring and then add it to our array list. So our string is going to be our new str, which is going to be current.substring. And we're going to start it after the end of the length of the target. Because notice here the target here is 3. It's got 3 pieces, so we want to start it right there. So we're going to do it at substring at target.length. Then we're going to add this new substring to the result. So result.add our new string. You could have done that in one line. I just thought it'd be a little easier to add it second, but let's double check that it works. So here's catch. Cat we know has length 3. Catch, we're saying that we're going to start it at index 3, 0, 1, 2, and that's exactly right. We're going to start it after the target.length. And then lastly, we're just going to return the result. So this one scored out of 6 points, I believe. So the first point is that you constructed a new string. An array list of strings to put the results in. The next one is access all words in word list. The next one you're going to look for is that you're doing the index of or comparing to make sure that it is at the first one. We construct a new string and then add it, and then returns the value. And I think we also had that one right here. So all those points were given. 1, array list, traverse correctly, index of, create the new string, add the new string, return the result.